Hey family, Dr. Dorsey here, and welcome to Next Level Conversations, where we don't just talk about growth, we ignite it. Every time we get together, we dive into transformative insights, breakthrough strategies, and high impact wisdom designed to elevate your mindset, sharpen your leadership, improve your fitness and wellness, and of course, fuel your success. So whether you're here to level up in business, relationships, get more fit, get well, heal, personal mastery, or anything that you're focusing on, you're in the right place. Here is my promise to you. Promise to maximize your time. Promise to encourage you to take action. Promise you to focus on growth, and I promise you to be in the moment. I need you to make the same promise to yourself. We are here to help you get to the next level. So let's get into it. Hey, listen, family, I have an amazing surprise for you today. I know typically we in here and we grind and we're moving through our own conversations. And remember, we're here to go to the next level, but I'm fortunate enough to have a special guest in the building today. If you are watching this, you probably have heard of this gentleman. He is a fitness guru. He knows absolutely how to get you from one state of focus to the next. I can tell you that he cares about people. He works out of a facility that in its nature puts you in position to push yourself to the next level. And when I met him, we met in a space where we were building up men and encouraging and facilitating necessary conversation about healing and health. And I said, my brother, I got to get you on the next level conversation. Would you do me a favor and help me welcome the one and only Zay Green to the building? What's up, Zay? What's up, Zay?
Top of the top, man. Doc, first of all, that's an amazing intro. And the connection you made with the promise, right? Like promising yourself to be better and to do better and to holding yourself accountable. That is an amazing intro. And again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Listen, I admire you. I've been watching you from a distance. I have been significantly impacted by the way you show up in the space, bro. And I'm sure that people watching feel the same way. And if not, they should. You guys want to make sure you connect to Zay. If you've never gotten the opportunity to share space with this brother, it's a special thing. I do not want to rob you of what you're getting ready to experience, but I want to say to you that I admire you. And it's not just external, you understand? Because people look at the way that you carry yourself, they may look at the way I carry myself, and their admiration stops at the surface. I have been able to benefit from what's beyond that, because sometimes people take your strength aesthetically and they make that your only strength. But the way that you have shown up, bro, it really sent a wave of, wow, I am more than impressed. I'm inspired. And so it means a lot that you would put aside some time to be on. Real talk, real talk. Would you kindly, because I know I didn't really, I tried to introduce you the best I could, but let's just say somebody has never met you, don't know who you are. How would you introduce yourself?
I would introduce myself by probably cracking a joke. My government name is Isaiah Green. I go by Zay, just to shorten Isaiah. I would say, hey, I'm Big Back Gorilla Zay, in the context of jokingly, right? It's more so of an icebreaker. And reading someone's body language, I don't know if I have them or if I need to be more serious. So me specifically, I like to say things very, very simply. My job is to connect the dots and impact lives through health and wellness. And that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Like that is always the goal. That is the mission. That is the statement. That is the vision. And it's all about connecting the dots and getting people the impact that they need in terms of fitness, health, wellness, mindset, all those unique things.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. I have a question. Like, tell me about where you grew up or where you come from, right?
Yeah.
Because when I see you, you're at the mountain. When I see you, you are at the top of a fitness industry. You have And you didn't even talk about the fitness stuff that you do, which we got to get into because it's
For
special.
sure.
But before we get there, where are you from? And I don't, if this is, too much to ask, feel free to share what you feel comfortable sharing. But I'm sure people would want to know.
Yeah, so I grew up with military parents. I was born in Hamburg, Germany, to a father that was in the army. We traveled around every 2 years, and we finally found a stop in Garland, Texas. It's a suburb of Dallas. It's not technically a suburban,
Hmm.
but it is a suburb of Dallas. Um, Moved to Garland when I was 10. Played basketball, ran track, beat up people, and I moved to California in 2014. I actually moved to California because I wanted to go to law school. I was
Mm.
inspired by Johnny Cochran. I love his articulation, his storytelling, and I wanted to be a part of that. So
Mm.
when I actually moved to California, when I realized that law school would be north of 150,000, I was like, this ain't it.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Regularly, I was during that time I was training at 24. I would work out at 24 Hour Fitness.
Mhm.
And a young lady, she was being harassed by a gentleman, trying to talk to her, and I was just like, bro, you got to back up, like let her work out. So
Mhm.
her name is Carmen. Carmen essentially became my workout partner still year to date, right? Like we're talking
Wow.
about close to a little over 10 years. So I've been training people since 2014. I made a full transition out of the finance industry to fitness in 2018. And I've never looked back since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I hear a lot of awareness. I hear a lot of sensitivity, right? I hear a lot of core values. What do you think prompted you most to support the safety of your now workout partner in like such a public place? Like, what do you think about you? Is there a message? Is there a doesn't have to be, but I wonder if there's like any rule, like, you know,
Yeah.
that is connected to that.
Yeah, so growing up on a military base, the earlier years of my life, my I watched my older brother get bullied.
Mm,
We grew up in a military base called Fort Hood. Watched him get bullied. That bullying tried to transition to me, and then one of my older brothers, Josh, still to this day, that's my right hand. He beat up the bully. And after
mm,
that day, I promised to myself to never let anyone I love get bullied and definitely do not let myself get bullied. So if there's ever any bullying or someone, really trying to push someone to the edge, I'm always say something. Like always. And we still to this day we're very great friends. Um, and it's unique because a few of the clients that I train them purely based off of their former trainer trying to hit on them, trying
mm,
to harass them, trying to do things that's not in relation to the fitness space. And it's so important to make sure that women and men are safe in these spaces because it can be intimidating, right? If you go to a big box gym like a 24 Hour Fitness or LA Fitness and you don't know what to do and you may aesthetically be pleasing to the eyes, then you're going to be harassed. That's just the reality of it. So anyone I train know that I always say, look, this is a safe space, right? Like it can come down, it can be physical therapy in the context of creating that safe space, letting someone let their anger out, let their frustrations out. And also, I always tell all my clients, male or female, bring your pride, right? Like, show up,
mm,
you know,
mm,
like, be 10 toes with it when you show up to the gym because it's that mind. The saying is mind body connection, but it's really mind brain connection because it's the
mhm.
mind, the subconscious going to the conscious, creating an equation to equal a goal, right? So that is
Wow.
really the connection of the mind body, right? Like we talk about it, but there's still that brain in there. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that anyone I train, if I'm teaching a class, if I'm training the youth, that you bring your pride, right? Like you bring your pride and you show up as yourself. I read a book that Coach K wrote. And he was like, he told the USA basketball team in 2008 and 2012 to bring your pride, right? Leave all the extra stuff at the door, but show up because I want to see every angle, every vertical, every integration of you. So bring your pride, right? It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be sad. This is a safe space. So I think my retention in terms of the clients that I train, humbly speaking, all glory to God, is like 0.1% because the clients that I train, they know one, it's a safe space, two, I'm gonna make it fun, but two, you're also gonna get, and three, you're also gonna get results. So if you have all those modalities in fitness and a trainer or a coach shows up for you, then you're gonna be willing to show up for yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
absolutely.
Uh, I think I hear a lot of mission in that,
Mhm.
right? I hear a lot of purpose in that. I hear I hear a lot of support in that. You find people who may be attempting to improve their lives, but they need a safe place to do that
Mhm.
in wellness, in mind state, in physical appearance and physical ability, and you provide that. I know this isn't on the script, but I think we got to talk about it. And I'd like for you to just really, I want you to do two things for me, please. One of them is to the person who is being bullied today, what do you say? Don't answer, don't start yet, because I want to give you the floor. I think this is a really, really important moment because we are talking about wellness and fitness, and some people spring into it as an outcome of being mistreated and they want to be
Yeah.
able to defend themselves, or they come from a place where they didn't feel like they were equipped to respond in that
Mhm.
way. So that's one of them. And then the second one, to the bully. I say that in context because every bully doesn't start off as a bully. There are
Yeah.
some people who land there for a variety of reasons. And
Yeah.
so I would love it if you don't have to, you ain't got to go, ham, you ain't got to, do sermonic, but I would love to have you just give some bit of information or words to those two people.
I would say three words, and those three words are you are enough, right? Like if someone's constantly bullying you, you are enough because you'll start feeling less than. You'll start realizing all the things that you may or may not have. So starting off first thing is you are enough. And secondly, I would say, you know, learn how to defend yourself. You know what I mean? And because it's just so I train boxers and bare knuckle fighters, as well as I'm a strength and conditioning coach and a sports nutritionist. So with all those modalities and all those things, I always like to tell people, hey, look, like one, you need to learn how to defend yourself, especially if you are a woman. This is Women's Month, so learning how to defend yourself in the sake of someone that may come off intimidating or may have an aggressive voice that can be a little overpowering, learn how to defend yourself. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing. And also understanding that life and death starts with the breath, right? So if we're upset or if we're sad or anything, slow down the breathing. Easy in, easy out in terms of the breathing. So one, you are more than enough. Two, really slow down the breath. And three, also realizing that they can't actually hurt you, right? Like nothing you're doing is going to stop anything that you're doing. In terms of a bullying trying to bully you, more than likely that bully is being bullied at home. So that extrapolates to other social areas. And realizing that, then, I think anyone could be fine and really just standing up for yourself. Because it takes courage, right? I think the greatest form of love is courage. It isn't discipline, it's courage. You have to have the courage to say, I'm going to go to the gym, lose this weight. The courage to say, I'm tired of being in a toxic relationship. The courage to say, I'm more than enough. So my job is to hold that client, that person accountable and let them know, hey, you're more than enough. The road to what you're trying to do is simple, but it is not easy. So you need someone that's going to hold you accountable. It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. So that's a few words that I would say to someone that's being bullied. You're more than enough.
Sure, sure, sure. That's really helpful. And I hope y'all are getting this, man. That's like real time training. That's real time feedback. And that's a sensitivity, to the person who has found some place to stand as a bully. Uh, I think it's important for you to hear that you don't have to live that way.
No,
I think it's important for you to hear that you have a lot more to give than having to put somebody else down so you could feel stronger, so that you can be stronger. I think
no,
it's important to also understand, and my hope for you, and even my prayer for you, is that you would find a place where you can let down all of that anger and all of that blindness and all of that toxic interaction so that somebody can really support you in the way that you need.
for
I am
sure.
not in any way defending the way bullies treat other people. Um, but at the same and but I am also acknowledging that sometimes the bully is a very hurt, wounded person, and
100%.
they are in some way trying to find purpose in their life, and unfortunately, they just use other people as collateral
Yeah,
as they're having difficulty processing the unique and maybe sometimes really hurtful situations that they come out of. And so I'm not, I don't want to, get lost in that. But I was thinking while you were talking that there are so many people, and these are not just kids, by the way, that are dealing with bullying. There's some adults who are
yeah,
still bullies today. They're bullies in the corporate space where they try to take all of the credit for work that
yeah,
they did not do. They stand on the backs of people who bust their butts and are not being paid equitable wages. And
yeah.
they dare them to rise up and say something. Okay, all right. Let me just let's get to this fitness thing because
Hey,
I want to be sure
talk
that
that talk,
we
brother. Go ahead.
listen. I want to be sure to give the people what they came for. But that's the next level conversation, and I do think that what we said is tied to fitness in some way. So I
For
want to
sure.
get down to maybe a cheat code or a secret. Let me ask the question this way, right? Um, what is one habit that has had the biggest impact on your health and fitness? One habit. What would you say? Like, this thing that I always do has yielded the most results.
Pff, I would say the habit that has yielded the most results is so growing up with a military father. My parents separated when I was at an early age, so all the boys
Mhm,
went with my pops, and my pops was not a speaker, right? He was
mhm,
more of a doer. A doer in
mm,
the context of that I saw him come home late from work. I saw him get up early. You know what I mean? He also had us cleaning up at 4 or 5 in the morning with a
mm,
toothbrush.
mm,
So I'm a very early riser. I wake up every
mm.
single day, probably like
Help.
2:45, 3 a.m. And that's the thing, right? Just in terms of fitness is, people are like, oh, I don't have the time. Well, you're not gonna get more time in the day, so you either need to go to bed earlier or wake up earlier, right? It then becomes a simple math equation in terms of what are we doing most with the time that we do have during the day or during the night. So I would say watching my father wake up early mornings. And also, the second thing I would like to say is meditation. For me, I've been big into meditation since 2016. And still to this day, before I train anyone, before I get out of bed, before I kiss the love of my life, good morning, I am focusing on my breath because fitness is a energy business, right? So I get a lot of clients' energy on me. So I need to make sure that my energy is good and I'm showing up for one for myself, but also two for my client. So learning how to it is a skill set, right? Like even if you're not a morning person, you still want to be conscious of the time that you spend during the day or during the night or when you're most creative. You know what I mean? So waking up early and understanding that meditation, easy in, easy out in terms of breathing, helps me. So then once I do my 10 minutes of meditation, when my feet hit the ground, I am off to the races. I'm off running because now I'm in a good mental state. So that
Hmm.
those two things, I would definitely say allows me to wake up early in the morning, to train people at 4 in the morning, and have that same level of energy to clients that I have at night at 8, 7:30, 8:30 at night to provide that same level of service in the morning and at night because I understand that energy is reciprocal, but also I protect my energy, right? So if I'm
Yeah.
not training anyone, first thing I do when I get home, I shower, eat, nap, literally in that order, and give myself a chance to recharge. And I also spend a lot of alone time. Like I love
Wait,
my alone
wait,
time.
wait! You're
I,
moving too fast, Dave. You're moving too fast. I'm trying to eat the whole plate. Wait, you're moving too fast. I think this is perfect. I think this is perfect. All right, so just so that y'all didn't miss it, because this the sauce y'all getting right here. This is what makes it work. Because remember, when we were talking, I was explaining to you. I think I feel like we got hung up in the environment that we were in as it relates to meditation and sleep. And
Mhm.
you dropped some bars about how much sleep you're getting and how to get that sleep. So I want to jump to that next.
Sure.
But I wanna steal this moment just for myself. So I am not a morning person. I know I'm
Mhm.
not alone. And I have lived that life, bro. I mean, of all of the things that I've accomplished, I've been the place where I have had the most significant return on the usage of my time is nighttime. But early morning, like bro, there was a moment where I zoned in from 12. It was like clockwork. I if I was if I was foggy in my thinking at 12 midnight to 4 a.m., I literally felt like shoo, right? And I was like,
Mm.
oh man, I'm an alien. Uh, but that turned into a lot of different outcomes for me because of my family, because of the situation I was in. The house was down. I was able to really, really focus in. So now I am starting to get up early, bro. And I don't know, man. I feel like something's happening now. I'm
Hey,
only on,
go
I'm
ahead.
only on day like, let me just, if I'm being real honest, I ain't. You can't even. I still count it on two hands. You feel me? Like, but I'm almost out of fingers. And what I'm noticing is, there's so much opportunity in the morning. Like getting up early.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, yo, this is a special time. Even before the
Yeah.
sun fully rises up, there's something that's happening in me. And I think y'all should
Hmm.
hear when he's talking about getting up at 2 and 3 and being available at 4. So my question is, because I also hesitate to open that time up to work with people because I don't think people want to be getting up like that. So
Yeah.
why do you think the morning? I know you watched your dad get up. Just give me
Hmm.
just a hot take on why getting up early benefits you so much. And then the second question I have is for the beginning meditator, because I'm in a prep disposition, and at the top of the list is wake up, get 10 minutes of sunlight, wake up, 10 minutes of meditation. Right. And I know how
Hmm.
to pray, I know how to do devotion, I'm solid. But
Yeah.
for those who are beginners in the meditation act, Speak to the novice stuff. Like, do I lay down? Do I sit up? You talk about before my feet hit the ground. You telling me you just wake up, open your eyes, start meditating. How do you not go back to sleep? You know, like just novice questions. You feel me? That people
For
might
sure.
have. What'd you
Yeah,
title it?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's there's no right or wrong, right? And we've come to a day and age where we focus on absolutes in terms of one thing can only be one done one way, right?
Mm,
It's
mm,
preference. For me, I like to lay
mm.
down. Some people may want to be able to sit Indian style. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's just preference. So for the so okay, so I'll give you an example. When I started really meditating, um, uh, I would I would be sleep in my bedroom. I would get up and then lay on the couch and meditate. You know what I mean? Or I would sit on the ground and meditate. You know what I mean? Be against the wall. Have my legs out, arms out. There's no wrong, right? And meditation doesn't have to be in the context purely of just closing your eyes, screaming like if a place that brings you a level of focus and clarity, that can be your meditation. For some it could be walking, others it may be walking and getting some sunlight, right? Running, you know what I mean, a form of meditation where you find peace and clarity. So that is the foundation to me of what meditation is, or being in a meditative state. However, so originally when I was studying for the LSAT, I would play, man, this is about 10, 12, about 13 years ago. I would play piano music, something very soothing. You know what I mean? I would play piano music on YouTube.com. You know what I mean? And then uh, there was one day where after I played the piano music, it went into meditative, slow rain music. And I realized that was the best time I was studying, because even though there was a rain sound, it was just a level of peace and calm and tranquility. You know what I mean? So at first, when I started meditating, I would go on YouTube University and play sound baths to get in a meditative state. And then after the sound baths, I saw this app called the Calm app, which I still use today. And it's literally someone talking at the end of the 10 minutes. So she'll do an introduction, and then you're just literally just hearing silence. And that silence is very intuitive. You know what I mean? So there's no right or wrong. You just have to do something that works for you. What may work for me may not work for someone that's listening. You know what I mean? And that's okay. You want to do something that you can stick to. It's kind of like when you hear the debate, what diet is the best diet, whether it be keto, vegan, pescatarian. It's whichever one that you stick to the most. You know what I mean? Like what work
Right.
is very subjective, is very relative. It's relative to you. It doesn't have to be relative to anyone else. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing, is just doing something that works for you. But also just so when I am meditating and breathing and have my eyes closed, I am planning my day, right? So I'm
Mm.
thinking about, okay, what are the number of clients I need to train? I always write out all my clients' workouts the day before. So that way I know there's an agenda and I'm not just making up random stuff, and they know that too. So at Hill Street Boxing Gym where I train at, I have an office and I have a ginormous whiteboard. So every time I train someone, I write out their workouts on that whiteboard so they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? And the first thing I always ask a client that I train is, how do you feel? Because let's say, for instance, they slept like trash, they're having a rough day at work, they barely been eating, they're not hydrated. I'm not going to try and put them on the squat rack and make them PR. All right, like
Yeah.
we're going to listen to
Yeah.
the body and slow things down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a skill set that I had to learn, thinking that the only way that I can train people is by pushing them as hard as they can. No, training ideally, if you're if you're not an athlete, is usually like an hour a day, right?
Mm.
So that hour a day, I need to make sure that one, that is the best hour of their day, but two, there's 23 other hours in a day. So why am I going to absorb all their energy for 1 hour when they have
Come
23
on,
other
man.
hours?
Come
Like,
on, man.
no, that makes no sense.
Come
And
on, man.
and my methodology in terms of training people is I always tell people, look, any workout that we do, understand that I always analyze the risk versus reward. Theoretically, there isn't a inherent workout that is actually bad for you, but if you have tight hips, if you just had MCL, ACL surgery, why would I make you do cursey lunge? Why would I make you squat ASG, going as low as you can go with weight on your spine, your butt winking, your eccentric, concentric movements all off? Like I'm not going to do that, right? So that's for me. That's the most important thing is understanding the state of mind that my client is in because I understand my state of mind, right? So it can now be translatable in terms of the energy, in terms of the fun, and also in terms of getting results.
Yo, bro, I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. I knew it's gonna be good. I didn't know it's gonna be this good. This brother is dropping straight heaters. And if you're paying attention, right?
Thank you.
I mean, seriously, man. And it just speaks to, I said earlier today, man, one of my problems is that I care about people. And clearly,
Hmm.
you care about the people who you get to care for through coaching and through fitness.
Yeah.
Um, I've got to wrap us up, man, because I promised you a certain amount of time, and I'm sure that we can do a second part to this if you want to get back on any
100%.
point so that
Yeah.
people can finish benefiting. Uh, Let me just say some of what I've heard from you, just in summary, bro. Like I heard that the people who you get to work with are getting the best version of you because you wake up early to prepare for them. That's a
Yeah.
message. I heard that the way that you're able to stay in rhythm is because you wake up and you, in a rested and peaceful place, are able to think through and plan your day. These are bars, y'all. Um,
Yeah.
Things that separate you from the crowd versus being thrown into or sprinting into a situation without opportunity to consider the way that you're feeling and what the task is. I'll pause here and say I was reading today, which I think is reading in itself is a cheat code every day of the week. If you are not reading,
100%.
I'm telling you, if
100%.
you're not reading, and I understand that we can consume material, audio. So I guess if that's your form of ingesting it, but when I was reading today, simple reminder that situations in themselves impact you based on the way you perceive them.
No.
And it is how you see the situation that actually translates to how you experience it. And so, where there are challenges and obstacles that you're facing,
Hmm.
you can actually allow that to impact you or not impact you based on the way you perceive it. And so for me, I was looking at, we could go surface, like, sometimes we're in debt and we look at the debt and we're like, that's a problem. Or we can look at it and say, it's just debt. That's an opportunity. Or we
No.
can say it's just debt. It has no power to do anything. Ain't got no voice, ain't got no legs, ain't got no arms, can't do anything to you. And so don't respond to it like it's attacking you, right?
Yeah.
And so I say all that to say I heard the awareness piece in what you were saying. So that's on the personal side. On the other side, I heard that you see people, you listen to them when you are working with them, you customize your time with them to be sure that they get the most out of the time that they spend with you, but also that you are mindful about how you're guiding them along those particular growth journeys. And that is what allows your sessions to be as valuable as they are. And certainly that allows your clients to feel safe in the space. That's magic, bro. That is, everybody doesn't do that. Everybody doesn't have that level of intentionality. And that's just salute to you. I gotta stop
I
this because I
appreciate
can go. We can keep going.
I
I'd like for you.
want to say one thing just in regards of
Sure.
the scenario about that. And it was one of the clients that I trained. Her name is Angela. She's the owner of Salute, a juice bar, the number one juice bar in Long Beach for
That's it.
10 years straight. She
Wow.
told me one day, because a gym owner that I was a part of a gym of was trying to sell me his gym. This was back
Mm,
in 2020,
mhm.
and he wanted 150 for it, 150,000, but nothing in there was worth 150,000. So during this
Yeah.
session, I'm telling Angela, I'm like, he wants 150 for it, like he's absurd, blah 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 blah. And she literally stopped me, and she was like, Zay, do not create enemies in your head. So what I say that, and the reason why I'm saying that is just in terms of the debt scenario, right? We Our thinking can be our worst fear, right? Like in the context of thinking, saying everyone's going to be looking at me if I decide to start going to a gym to work out, or and I don't want to go anymore. I don't want all these eyes on me, which may be true or may not be true. But you do not want to let your thinking hinder your performance or your ability to execute. So that's the biggest thing. Just don't create enemies in your head, right? Whether it be that debt, you have an opportunity to pay it off, boost your credit score, or you have an opportunity to use that debt as leverage, right? There's always a solution to every problem, but it starts with understanding that do not let do not create enemies in your head. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something that I learned, and I also learned through the people that I train. Right, like the biggest demographic of people of my clientele is entrepreneurs. So I'm always asking questions. How I train someone who's waiting for his IPO to drop to be a billionaire is not going to be the same of how I train someone who has a 9 to 5, but the message is still the same, right? Their time is just as valuable. So in that hour, I need to make sure I'm asking questions just so I can see what is their thinking, what makes them tick. You know what I mean? And it does help. I was also in undergrad, I was a debater. I debated for Wiley College, the Wiley College, home of the great debaters. So I'm able to think quickly on my feet. You know what I mean? And to take the adjective out of the sentence that they're saying and like really exploit it in the context of, okay, well, if they say they love X, Y, and Z, then why do they love it? Like, why do you do this, why do you do that? So that's something that you'll learn in debate, is attacking adjectives. So and that's what I do, right?
You know
Like
what? Nope.
I
Nope. See. I can't stand. I can't stand. I can't stand y'all. You see these flexers. We sitting up here chilling. You know, we just moving through fitness. He just coming by with flex after flex after flex. I would just say this, man. Next time I'm taking my shirt off, I'm just gonna sit up on the screen and flex for no reason, just bracing myself. All right, to be second. Okay. No. I am,
well, also you should, right? Because one, you put the work in. All right,
sir.
like you prepared, you've
Yes,
done the
sir.
work, and that's. I'm also a book reader too. No, I
Yeah.
say no to audiobooks. I need a hard copy. I need to turn the pages. The book of Atomic Habits by James Clear
Oh,
is
you messing with my whole
he
situation. I'll reach
he
out and grab it
he
right now.
I read this a few years ago, but he was like, people feel insecure not because people create an insecurity because they know they haven't done the work. When you've done the work and you prepared and and you're organized and all your checks and balances are in place, you have a right to flex because you've done the work.
Come
You know what I
on.
mean?
Come
And for
on.
me and my pettiness, I'm gonna let people know on the internet that I'm doing the work. You know what
Come
I
on.
mean? So when you see me with my shirt off, you know that I did the work. I'm not just taking my
Listen,
shirt off just because. Like, you
listen,
saw the work I did. You know what I mean? And I think
listen.
and that thinking is also a skill set, right? Like it takes time to understand that. But it all boils down to understanding that you are enough. You are
So
enough.
good.
Even if you have a 12 pack with 7% body fat, like you are enough. Even if you don't have that, you have an 18% body fat. you are enough. It's just about showing up
Wow.
for yourself. And when you show up
Wow.
for yourself, you build that confidence to execute on anything that you put your mind to, whether it be fitness, entrepreneurship, lifestyle, health, wherever it may be. You know you've done the work. But it all starts with understanding that you are more than enough.
All right, listen, I got to stop you. Do me a favor. Please tell people where they can find you and how they get in touch.
So my Instagram handle is Zay Green 357. Also am the founder of a nonprofit organization called Clocked In. My mission is to impact lives through health and wellness. So clockedin_.org on Instagram. You can also email me at info@clockedin.org. Other than that, my name is Zay. That's all I got.
All right, family, that's a wrap for this session of Next Level Conversations. But remember, elevation does not stop here. Apply what you've learned, challenge yourself, and keep pushing towards your next level. If this conversation resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, stay locked in for the next one. Keep moving, keep growing. And if you're climbing, I'll see you at the top.